Hey there, fellow know-it-alls and clueless wanderers alike. Welcome back to another episode of Idiotsplaining, the podcast where we take complicated topics, break them down into bite-sized pieces, and sprinkle them with a dash of humor, so even the most brilliant idiots among us can understand. Today we're diving into the wild world of artificial intelligence, AI for short. So buckle up, buttercups, because it's about to get intelligent. Maybe. We'll see. I shall now pass you over to the human. Enjoy.
Thanks, I guess. Okay, before we start this episode, I've turned it into a game that you can play along with. I often get AI to help me script the episodes, but this time I've taken it slightly too far. While most of the script will be written by AI and adapted by myself, some of it I've just left on purpose. See if you can figure out which bits were written by me and which bits are AI generated. Answers in the bonus episode next week. Alright, let's start at the beginning, because that's a perfect place to start. The history of AI. Now, I know what you're thinking. AI is a new thing, right? Wrong. Turns out humans have been dreaming of smart machines for centuries. Back in the 1950s, a bunch of boffins... They get offended at that word. Let me rephrase. Professional smarty pants scientists got together and decided to turn that dream into reality. How could they do this? They've doomed us all! The term artificial intelligence was coined at the Dartmouth Conference in 1956. Imagine a bunch of scientists in lab coats, probably with qualifications in MS PowerPoint, thinking, hey, what if machines could think like us? These pioneers, like John McCarthy and Marvin Minsky, laid some groundwork. They had big dreams and possibly bigger brains, but honestly, their computers were about as smart as a toaster that's constantly burning the bread and then toasting it again because it somehow miraculously didn't set the smoke alarm off. You gotta start somewhere, right? Fast forward a few decades and AI started to get a little less toaster-y and a little more microwave. Did you know there is a chess-playing computer called Deep Blue? Well, in 1997, it beat the world champion Garry Kasparov. He must have felt so stupid when this happened. Checkmate! More like, check yourself before you wreck yourself, mate. While AI should have stopped at chess, it didn't. In the early 2000s, we saw the rise of more advanced algorithms and machine learning. It's like giving a computer a bunch of data and saying, here, learn this, and don't come back until you're smarter. Annoyingly, they did. AI eventually began to find its way into our everyday lives. Spam filters in your email accounts, recommendation engines, and to a lesser extent, Siri. Now, before we carry on with the future, it's probably best to tell you what machine learning is. So, welcome to Tangent Corner. Picture this, you've got a computer and you want it to perform a specific task, like recognizing pictures of cats. Now you could try and write a bunch of rules, like cats have pointy ears, whiskers and cute little noses, but let's be real, there are a lot of variations of cats out there. Some have floppy ears, some have missing whiskers, and some have a serious attitude problem. Writing rules for all that? Nah, you're alright. Instead, with machine learning, you feed the computer its latest cereal, a bunch of examples. Flavors include a various assortment of cat pics. And let it figure out the patterns on its own. It's like teaching a kid to recognize cats by showing them lots of cat photos instead of reading them a cat encyclopedia. They'll learn more with the photos. No one likes reading now anyway. Oh, great, now I've said that, I'm never getting a book deal. Machine learning can be broken down into three main types: supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement. Supervised and unsupervised are pretty much self-explanatory. Supervised is what I mentioned earlier with feeding information into the computer, whereas unsupervised is the opposite, letting the computer loose with your data. Let's just hope it doesn't leak your search history instead of doing what it's supposed to. Reinforcement learning is slightly different. It's like training a dog with treats. The computer learns by interacting with its environment and getting feedback in the form of rewards or punishments. Imagine you're teaching a dog to fetch. Every time the dog brings the ball back, you give it a treat. If it runs off with the ball, you give it nothing, or worse, the dreaded no command. Over time, the dog learns that bringing the ball back gets its treats, so it starts fetching like a pro, but not in my case, my dogs are evil. In reinforcement learning, the computer learns to perform basic tasks by maximizing its rewards. And that was Tangent Corner. Right now, the present and possibly the scariest news I'm about to tell you in this episode. AI is everywhere. Seriously, it's like glitter, impossible to avoid and gets everywhere, even in your pants. From self-driving cars to smart home devices that turn off your lights, lock your doors and probably judge your taste in music, AI is working behind the scenes, making things faster, smarter, and sometimes creepier. Thanks Facebook ads for reminding me that I was thinking about buying energy supplements. But AI isn't just about convenience. It's making huge strides in healthcare with algorithms that can diagnose diseases from medical images faster and sometimes more accurate than doctors. Although I've never heard a robot Charlie Bucket shout, "I am a surgeon!" If you know that reference, well done. I owe you a chocolate bar. And let's not forget about the chatbots. They're here to help, or at least pretend to, until you get frustrated enough to scream, "Manager!" Now let's look into the crystal ball and talk about the future of AI. Spoiler alert, it's going to get wild. Think more automation, smarter everything, and yes, probably more creepy targeted ads. Experts predict that AI will revolutionize industries we haven't even thought about yet. Like my new business venture, edible makeup. Includes ice cream blush, pop rock lip balm, and chocolate chip mascara. Look as delicious as you taste. Imagine AI chefs creating perfect meals based on your dietary needs, AI lawyers who can read through legal documents faster than a speeding bullet, and AI teachers who can give personalized lessons to every student. Sounds cool, right? But it also raises some big questions, like what happens to all the jobs these AIs will take over, and who's responsible when an AI makes a mistake? These are the kind of questions that keep me up at night. I've got to stop drinking caffeine at 10 p.m. Alright then, it's time for the Q&A section, my favourite part of the show because it means I get to answer your burning questions. Right, let's log into our emails and see what comes up. 700 spam emails. Delete. Right, where are the questions document? Here it is. Question number 1. Can AI ever become truly sentient? The big one. Right, short answer, not yet. Long answer, maybe one day. But we're not there. Right now, AI can mimic human behaviors and perform specific tasks well, but it doesn't have self-awareness or emotions. Unless, of course, you've been reading the news recently that some scientists have figured out that part. But the faces look like uncooked salami. So, no need to worry about a Terminator-style uprising. At least for now. But when it happens, you all know what you need to do. And question 2, is AI going to take over my job? Well, I'm sorry to say, it depends on your job. AI is great at repetitive tasks and analysing data, so accountants beware. But there are many things AI can't do, like show genuine empathy, create art from scratch, or host a comedy podcast. At least I hope not. So the key is to adapt and learn how to work alongside AI, making the most of what it can do without letting it steal your thunder. And that's it for this episode, and we managed to get through it without an uprising. Did you spot all the AI lines? Remember, I'll reveal the answers in the bonus episode next week, so be sure to follow or subscribe to not miss it. In the meantime, you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you may find me, at Ross Hoare. That's Ross and Hoare. Why not send me suggestions of things to Idiotsplain on the platforms, or contact me at rosshoare.com. I'll be announcing the next episode's topic on the socials and in the bonus podcast next week. Once announced, I will want your questions and you could be featured in the episode. The music of this podcast was borrowed from Incompetech and Stream Beats. The Incompetech track is called Werq, spelt W-E-R-Q, just to mess with your brain. This is an independent podcast created by myself, so thank you for supporting small creators. If you enjoyed this, make sure you send that letter to the big radio companies. Haven't had a response back yet, but any day now, any day. If you live somewhere that's a decent time to wake up early, then why not listen to the Radio Folkestone Breakfast Show with me, Ross Hoare, every weekday and Saturday morning from 7 a.m. UK time. You can also check out how to listen, various other things as well, including visiting the What's On guide, checking out the 24/7 schedule, and getting involved with groups at radiofolkstone.com. Finally, if you've enjoyed the podcast series so far, then why not consider putting this podcast forward for a British Podcast Award? Yes, you can do this. You can do this by going to britishpodcastawards.com/voting. That's britishpodcastawards.com/voting. Voting closes on August 29th in the year 2024, just in case you're listening in the future. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.